Land Rover Air Portable or half-ton, commonly referred to now as the Landrover Lightweight, came about from a military requirement in the 1960s for a lighter version of the Land Rover, which could be suspended beneath the Western Wessex helicopter. All Land Rover Lightweights, apart from some of the early test vehicles, were used by the armed forces of the UK and some other countries like Holland. Ironically, the Land Rover Lightweight ended up being heavier than standard military short-wheelbase Land Rover of the day, but it was redesigned to be stripped down so that some parts of it could follow on after the main vehicle was dropped off where it was needed. As helicopter technology improved and the ability to suspend vehicles of greater weight became practical, the whole reason of developing the Air Portable became irrelevant, although it was still handy to have a narrower version of the Land Rover so that the vehicles could be placed in transport aircraft side by side. My Land Rover Lightweight was built in Solihull and left the factory painted in gloss deep bronze green, was transferred to the British Army Vehicle Depot at Hilton near Derby at the end of 1978. It served in the British Army with the registration 09 Golf Tango 45. It stayed in Vehicle Depot Hilton for about a year, was then transferred to a vehicle supply depot in Northern Ireland in September 1979. It was then used by 39th Infantry Brigade in the early 80s and transferred to 26th Squadron Royal Corps of Transport in 1984. In 1991 it was transferred to HQ Northern Ireland and it was finally struck off in 1993 and then presumably sold into civilian hands. The plan with my lightweight is to restore it back to how it would have looked in British Army service in the 1980s. There are a few obvious things which need to be changed to bring it back to original spec or a close version of it, taking into account a few modern upgrades. The headlights fitted to the vehicle are modern LED lights. These are very bright but don't look very period as they look quite dark. The front side lights should go below the indicators and need to be sourced and reinstalled. The bonnet would normally also have a spare wheel and tyre on it. It's missing all of its original fittings for the spare wheel and they need to be sourced to allow it to be refitted. Inside, the front seats have been changed to what I assume is a later Land Rover seat and a centre console. None of those would have been standard, but they are quite comfy, so they may stay. I'm not sure yet. There's carpet on the insides of the doors and in various places around the cabin. Cabin's very dark. It's been painted black. I don't think that was standard, so that will be going to NATO green. There's lots of, with a 47-year-old vehicle, there's lots of missing bolts and things. Bolts which are different spec to what they would have been originally. There's metric bolts and things that have been installed. So some of that will be replaced with UNF stuff. These seats have obviously been retrimmed to match previous owners' colour taste. So I don't know what I'll do with those yet. I may recover them. They're quite comfy seats. Seat belts are red. I think they're MG Metro or Montego or Maestro seat belts from probably from the 80s. Bit of carpet there in the middle. Um, Back end was all checker plated. I've pulled out the centre part of it and I'll take out the side tub parts as well. There's a few rivets that run through from underneath that need to be drilled out. And then I'll be putting rear bench seats back in. Painting it all green, it's very dark in there. Dashboard was painted sort of a maroony colour as you can see, so it'll all be going green. That centre part will be black. Convoy lights, switch is still present. Front footwells are a bit rusty as you'd expect on the bulkhead. It's had lots of repairs over the years. I'll probably be cutting it out and redoing parts of it. The previous owner to me pulled out the headlining, which was a sort of purple and fluorescent fluffy headlining. Just showing you here the underseat fuel tanks. It's got two 10-gallon fuel tanks in the lightweight, which you access by pulling out this panel here. They didn't have external fillers standard. A few people sort of retrofit them, but on this one they're underneath the seat still. Checker plate wouldn't have been there. I think that top plate's been modified over the years, and the checker plate's there to cover it up. That's the fuel tank switch there, so at the moment it's set to the left tank. Vehicle's got Wolf wheels on with Goodyear G90 tyres, 7.5 by 16 tyres. There's the toolbox, the hasp is missing off that. There's a few old spark plugs in there, or maybe new spark plugs. And a free bungee cord. I need to try and find the part of the clasp that's missing from somewhere. Same weirdly seems to keep itself closed though. Got your free tools in the back for the gardening, which is handy. Yeah, I noticed the end was a bit mashed on the pickaxe. Not sure I'd want to wield those in anger. The straps that hold those, there's 4 straps. I've got some new ones of those coming. Tailgate on this, it's the hard top on the back. I don't think any of the lightweights are actually built with hard tops, and this one's got what I assume is a Series 3 hard top, or possibly a Defender hard top, but it sort of fits. The top is slightly too wide for it, but it just about get away with it. And the lower tailgate is I think the correct one for the lightweight. It's in 2 parts. Be getting rid of that weird tow hitch as well. I think it's a height adjustable locking tow hitch, but half it's missing. Would have had a NATO tow hitch on it originally. That's a NATO electrical socket there. Should have a cover over it. Just underneath that's a LED reversing light, which is fairly low key, very bright. So I may keep that possibly, although it doesn't look very period. And the hard top there, you can see some blue paint peeking through. So, but weirdly, there's some NATO green on there as well. So you'd say it was a civilian hard top, but there's NATO green under the black, which is a bit strange. Maybe it came off another vehicle that was painted NATO green at some point. There's the passenger side seat and the tank underneath. The seat base is literally slide in and out. They've got sort of a frame that cups around them. That's the wiper motor box. World's simplest heater. It's supposed to have 2 speeds, but I think it's only got 1 at the moment, so I'm not sure if that's the switch. It's only a 2-way switch or not. Some air horns, which I shall be sticking in the bin. Brake servo. This has got drum brakes all round, so it does actually stop, but you have to think ahead, really. Some of the wiring's not great, but then it's a British car, 47-year-old British car, you'd expect it to be not great, but it's all working. got a Kenlo fan controller there. It's got an electric fan in front of the radiator. Hasn't got the original mechanical fan on the front of the engine. There's the original bronze green gloss, deep bronze green gloss paint under the bonnet. So I'll probably leave that just so you can see what it would have been like when it came from factory. There's an oil bath air cleaner there. Never seen one of those before. It's new to me. The engine's a 2.25 petrol engine. It's actually 2286cc, but it's called a 2.25. There's the Kenlo fan lurking in the background. It does work. On top of the wings and on the sills, you probably noticed the paint's really iffy, and it did have checker plate on there. And one of the first things I did was drill out the rivets holding the checker plate on, to get ready to fill those rivet holes and then paint it. It's got a Weber carb on there as well. Fuel lines are a little bit crispy, so I need to change those. There's a slight weep from the carb spacer block gaskets, so I've got some of those to put in. Engine runs very nicely. It's got electronic ignition in it. The engine starts very well, runs like a top. It's lovely. And that's it. That's an introduction to my new Landrover Lightweight.